I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 162. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Tardello, coming to you on Tuesday, August 27th, and we've got a webisode. Our great producer, the wizard, Zachary Webb, is joining the pod. Oh, it's been way too long since we've had our guy on to talk about the Bobcats. We've got lots to go over. We've got State of the Pod to talk about, EA Sports to talk about, and of course the Bobcats. So can't wait for that. That's coming up real soon. But before we get to Zach, this episode is brought to you by TGC LLC, the GalindoCollective.com. That's G-A-L-I-N-D-O, GalindoCollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com and follow their social media platforms on Twitter at TGC_LLC or on Instagram and Facebook at The Galindo Collective. Shout out to our guy, Rick Galindo, a true Tech State sicko, a Tech State grad. He's been with us since before last season, all through the offseason, and now he's back with us for 2024. Cannot thank Rick Galindo enough, and the Galindo Collective. Check them out. Hit them up for all your business needs at thegalindocollective.com. That's G-A-L-I-N-D-O, galindocollective.com. We are also brought to you by Chillzy.com, CHILLZEY.com. You can get custom tumblers, custom koozies. If you're watching on our YouTube page, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, you can see me holding up this custom tumbler with the Mad Cat on there right on the front. If you order 6 or more of these and punch in Bobcats at your checkout, they're only $15 a piece, which is a great deal. It's a great tumbler. They also have custom koozies. Again, check out our YouTube page, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube. I'm holding up some Mad Cat koozies right here. Some of you got these last season. We'll be handing them out again this year. If you want to get something else besides the Win Now or Get Bent logo on the tumbler, on the koozie, you can put any logo you want on there, any kind of work logo, family insignia for a reunion, whatever you got, Chillzy can help you out. So check them out. Shout out to our guy, Dennis Redding, a Tech State sicko, Tech State grad. He was helping us out last season, back again this year. CHILLZEY.com. All right. Let's get to these Bobcats. Webb, Zachary, my guy. It's been way too long. When was the last episode you were on?
Man, I think maybe we did a summer one or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Last summer, right?
Was it last? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know. I feel like the only reason I can remember them is because I have to put my face in the thumbnails, and I don't like doing that. So when I'm looking at our YouTube page, I'm like, ugh. But
you could put the Mad Cat if you want, or just two of me, just double cat.
That's what we'll do this time. Yeah, we'll just you're interviewing yourself.
Can you? Hey, that might be interesting if we just pre-record, chop it up. There could be something there with that. Yeah, it's been way too long. I have
a year of stuff, so I think I could chop something together. Maybe
Nice.
Off-season content. I'll do a little Kev interviewing Kev mashup.
Kev interviewing Kev. Gosh, if the people weren't sick of me enough, that will definitely do it. That will be the straw that will break that camel's back. Well, it's been too long. I can't believe, because I was looking at it too, and I was like, you didn't jump on it all during the season. I guess we were still kind of figuring out everything that we can do and how we're doing it. That I guess we never peppered that in, but I'm glad you're finally here, buddy. It's a great time, right on the cusp of the season.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Because it feels like I talk to you all the time, but this is a little different setting.
We just don't record it. We couldn't, the stuff that we talk about we couldn't put on the pod. So.
Oh man, yeah, it's. Part of it's boring. Part of it is a little brutal.
Alien conspiracy theories and stuff, Yeah.
Hey, they're out there. there's what's a conspiracy theory I've been getting into just out of fun. I don't really believe any conspiracy theories. I'm sure there's some, but the one that is that all celebrities are clones. Have you heard this one at all?
No, not at all. No.
I'll send you some research on it. Some fascinating research. Who was one? Martin Lawrence was the one that really surprised me. This he apparently had a heart attack in the late 90s, and this conspiracy theory believes that he passed away and that they brought in the clone. There's a lot of them. That's what they all think, is that they start
Paul
out as a
McCartney,
person.
right?
And Paul McCartney's one.
I Am the Walrus. Yeah.
You're already in on it. What's the girl that sing the Skater Boy song? Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne, really?
Avril Lavigne, that's a big one too. That's one that's like their main one that they focus in on. But wow, we have deviated so quick. That was record time.
That's why we can't record what we normally talk about.
Yeah, that's why, that's why we gotta keep it off air most of the time. But let's talk some on air stuff. I've been itching to play EA Sports College Football 25. I've been living vicariously through you and others. I say living vicariously, but living jealously. It's like the SpongeBob meme where he's looking out the window at everybody playing, and he can't. Squidward's looking out at SpongeBob and Patrick, and he's just lonely in his little home. That's how I feel with everybody playing college football 25. But how's it been going for you? Have you been dominant? Who have you been playing as?
Okay. I wouldn't call myself dominant. I'm not bad. Definitely not dominant though. I don't know if I want to say who I've been playing as. All right. So I'm in a long time online dynasty with my childhood best friend, Carter. And we're both Bobcat fans. So we decided when we were jumping in, neither one of us can be the Bobcats. He jumped into Sam Houston. I jumped into UTEP. I built UTEP from the ground up, made them into a dynasty. And then I jumped ship after I got offered from the University of Texas. So I've been at the University of Texas for like 10 years, I think, at this point. So it's like a 20-year dynasty so far. And they only go to 30 years. So we're like 10 years away in game from retirement. It's pretty wild. But the game's amazing. The Bobcats are pretty dominant, I would say, on there. But yeah, I haven't been playing a ton with them because of like kind of the rules we made on the dynasty.
So I hope there's a lot of other people out there like me that are layman's when it comes to this. And when you say you're already 20 years into your dynasty, how long does a year take? Can you knock that out in like a couple hours or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So depending on kind of the situation, he went Sam Houston, Boise State, Miami, Clemson. So he's been in the playoffs quite a bit. I was in the playoffs a little bit. So usually you're simming out games and really focusing in on recruitment until you get into those harder games, especially the playoffs. So I'd say a season, you could do like 2 or 3 seasons in a day if you're both on and like getting your stuff done essentially. So, but it's
putting in the work.
We put in a lot of hours in this game for sure.
Man, because for me, I don't know, I'm an old man. Even when I was an old man, I was this way, where it's just me versus the computer. That's good enough. I don't need to go online. I don't have a headset. All that started to pop up when I was kind of getting older and out of the mix. So that's fascinating to me to hear about like the dynasty, and you're 20 years into it, and you've accepted a job at another school. You started out at one, and then your profile increases because you win, and you get a job in Austin. I'm a little disappointed you drove right past San Marcos.
By that time, I don't think I've been offered by Texas State, but we do have a hard and fast rule. We cannot accept the Texas State job because the other one would get too jealous. I will say, growing up, when we played the old NCAA, he used to always play as Texas and I would play as A&M when we were very young. And so when I did take the Texas job, I know he was upset. Like it definitely upset him. Also, we've gotten to the point, we've played so much against each other that we are mad about certain plays in the playbook. Like there's a play called mesh spot, which is pretty much broken in the game. And we're to the point where we're counting how many times the other person runs it because we're deep into the game. We've explored all of the ins and outs of college football 25.
Well, I wish you and Carter, shout out to Carter. I got to meet him last season, him and his family. But I wish all of you the best unless you play the Bobcats. Even if it's a computer you're going up against, I'm rooting for the Bobcats. So it's a tough break for y'all on that front. But That's great. Sounds like a lot of fun. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna get over to your spot, and we're gonna play real soon. Maybe
Yeah.
that might have to wait till after the season because now I've waited too long, and I'm about to be extremely busy for the rest of the year. I was kind of
Yeah.
kicking back on Saturday, like, wow, I think it's my last Saturday off until January. So I was enjoying it a little bit watching those games.
Yeah, you mentioned not having me on during the season, and it's a whirlwind for us. We're barely able to get everything out that we put out during the season, so I wouldn't anticipate me being on much in the season this year if we do it, but we'll see.
Hey, challenge accepted. That's what I hear. I feel like we're going to be a lot more streamlined this year because last year was figuring out what can we do, how are we going to cover this, how are we going to get this content out to everybody, what works, what doesn't work, what should we focus on, what should we kind of put on the back burner until all our other T's are crossed. And that's why I feel like this year it'll be a lot more streamlined for us, a little more efficient. You know, Reese is going to be in the mix too. Reese Largent, our great intern. Need to get him on the pod. We're going to do that this week too. But you know, I feel like it's going to be a little more efficient for us going forward. So maybe we can make time to get Zach on there and everything. But you are going to be busy because you're bringing back those cinematic recaps. Are you looking forward to 3.5 hours of grinding it out on the sideline, chasing the teams up and down the field? You ready for that?
Yeah, man, that's I think my favorite part of this whole gig, and I didn't know that it was my favorite part until last year. But kind of kickoff at Baylor, I was hooked. I was like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. It wasn't even my idea to grab a camera and do these. It was Kef's during the spring game last year. It was like, we need to get you a better camera and get you on the sidelines. And I was like, oh, we'll see. Now I'm obsessed. It's the only thing I've thought about for, I don't know, 9 months, however long it's been since I've been on the sidelines. So really excited. I'm going to make sure I hydrate, make sure I get some good shoes to break in before then, and I'm fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, well, you know that was your fault. I remember that spring game. We were in the press box, and you were recording stuff from like your phone,
Yeah.
and you sent a little it clipped all together afterwards. I'm like, if you can do that on the phone, Matt, what can you do with a real camera and on the sideline? So, yeah, that's gonna be fun. The cinematic recaps, watch out for those, everybody. They're gonna be back. But you know, as far as everything on the field with this team, you know, it's been, I would say, ever since the whole JDL situation where we had the quarterback carousel, now it's Jordan McCloud. Ever since then, it's been relatively quiet on the Western Front. It's been almost like the calm before the storm of the season. You know, it's been I feel like it's an offshoot of the positivity of having such a good season last year and not a ton of people left besides, you know, I mentioned Finley. Besides him leaving, not a ton of people left, and it just feels a little more positive going into it, where we're not itching for, okay, well, where's all the storylines? Where's the angles of what's happening? It's just kind of like it's almost everyone's patiently waiting, like, okay, let's kick off, let's get it.
Yeah, I mean, last year I actually saw just earlier that TJ Finley was named the starter at Western Kentucky, so they had a little back and forth there. It's weird, yeah, because last year at this time we were debating back and forth. We were pretty sure it was going to be TJ all the way through the summer once he got here, and then we had kind of a moment of weakness where we were like, oh, maybe it's going to be Malik that kind of last week. So it's been weird not having that, and I think that there's even been some, you know, fabricated just discussions about RJ Martinez and things, kind of just so we could have some of that who's going to be where. But it's going to be Jordan McCloud. He proved last year what he can do. It'll be interesting. I think this is his first time going into a season as like the full-blown starter. Maybe he did at USF, but he's always kind of been doubted during the fall camp. And this will be his first time to excuse me, really go out there and prove it. And I think that's kind of the theme of the season is proving it. We have the talent, the coaching staff, we have that. It's, can we put together, you know, can we put teams away time and time again, which is something we struggled with last year.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was a struggle last season when some of these close ones, they were able to pull it off. They were able to come back and come from behind wins against like ULM and stuff like that. But there were close games like that Louisiana one. They had that one in the bag and they let it go at the end. I even feel like UTSA was one where they were hanging in there. I mean, Frank Harris got knocked out 2 different times, came back a third time. I felt like that one was one that they left a lot of meat on the bone, and that's something that they've got to correct this year, because it goes back to as exciting as it was to see 8 wins last season, there were still 5 losses. And I know you put together an awesome video, which some of y'all should probably have already seen by now when this episode comes out, where we have Cole Wilson talking about that. He's like, I've never lost 5 games in my life. That wasn't good enough for us. And that's been the mentality around this team is the fans are real, fans, myself included, are satisfied with 8-5. It was like, that was great. Doesn't feel like the players are. Doesn't feel like the coaches are. They're like, that wasn't good enough. I've never been that poor in my whole life. You know, even as a coach for DJ Kinney, as a player, a lot of these guys they've won at every stop that they've been at. So that's been the nice thing to see, how they react to an 8-5 season. But you mentioned a quarterback battle with Malik last year and that whole situation. Yeah, I feel like people were trying to keep us guessing. People over at Texas State when it came to that one, and then all of a sudden it was this Malik news was floating out. But I don't know if you remember when it came out at the time. I was like, I don't know if I trust this one. But yeah, and that's how it turned out. And this year, there might be GJ Kinney, has he named a starter yet? No, he hasn't. And when you ask him about RJ Martinez, oh, he's doing great, throwing the ball hard. It's Jordan McCloud all the way. No, you don't even have to, barring an injury. That's the one thing that would hold him out. And Grant, we haven't seen a ton of fall camp. They've kept it really close to the vest outside from that first day. So we have, who knows who's banged up where. We haven't gotten a good eye on it. But I outside of that, actually, now I think about it, we did see McCloud on Saturday, so we know he's doing all right health wise. I'm gonna knock on some wood for you, Bobcat Nation. But it's Jordan McCloud's team, reigning Sun Belt Player of the Year. Somehow they were able to lose a player like TJ Finley and upgrade. We'll see if it is an upgrade when the season is going. On paper, it's an upgrade. When you look at it, and statistically speaking, accolades, all of the above, Jordan McCloud has that over Finley. So
I think you have to think about fit too, in the offense, right? This is an offense that is geared towards that, Lindsey Scott Jr. kind of smaller, faster, almost point guard-esque type quarterbacks. And that's exactly who Jordan McCloud wants to be. You talk to him about, who do you compare yourself to? And he doesn't compare himself to a quarterback. He compares himself to Chris Paul. So it's very interesting. I think that will really work in this offense if he can navigate it.
We both love Chris Paul.
Yeah.
You're a Rockets fan. I'm a Spurs. He's a Spur now. He's our guy. So you got it.
I don't know if I love him. Yeah.
You don't love him? I don't know if I love him either. Yeah. I said love, and I'm like, I don't know. That guy's, that's one prickly pear. He's a guy. He will get in on you. That's what that's why I'm happy.
He's gonna make a great coach when Pop leaves.
You said it, and I was about to say it. It's funny. I stopped because I was like, I wonder if Webb's on the same boat. Yeah, because that's what I think this is. I'm sorry, everybody. We're going to switch right back to Bobcats super fast. But I think that's a 1-year deal. Go to San Antonio. He's going to be the coach when Pop is done.
Yeah.
He wants to coach up Wimby. That's what I see there. But that is interesting with Jordan McCloud. How when he talks about a player that he admires and tries to emulate it, and he looks to Chris Paul. I mean, it's a terrific player to kind of go after. And you brought up that point to me before as well about Lindsey Scott and how it fits really into GJ Kinney and Mac Leftwich, their offense. That look that they had an incarnate word with Lindsey Scott when he won the Walter Payton Award. McCloud fits that way more than Finley did. And they were still able to do what they did with Finley, and it
right.
wasn't the exact, not necessarily dual threat, because dual threat, I feel like whenever you say that, it leads people to think like, oh, this is a run first quarterback when McCloud isn't like that. Lindsey Scott isn't like that, but they can run. They are shifty,
right.
Maybe a shifty quarterback is a good way to put it. Cause this offense fast paced, they want to throw the ball. Everybody sprints down there, get to it. run the play, whatever it comes out, a run option, a handoff, whatever it has for them. But they want to move fast, and they need a quarterback who can move fast, who can get down that field. And I feel like McCloud, he is that fit more so than Finley was, and they were able to have that success with a big, stiffer quarterback. I wouldn't say he's totally stiff. Finley could move when he needed to, but he was more in the pocket. I'm going to throw this ball 100 miles an hour. That was the thing. It's definitely not the same ball coming out of McCloud's hand that it was with Finley. So much faster. The ball got there quicker. But McCloud is every bit as accurate, and he makes the right reads, and that's the important aspect here.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot more anticipation with Jordan McCloud's ball, right? He's throwing it before it breaks. TJ Finley didn't care about that. It didn't matter if you were barely open, what window. I mean, he could fit it in really quickly. So there's definitely differences in style there, but I don't know. I think, yeah, maybe McCloud is an upgrade.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, obviously the season will tell everything, because this team, it's essentially the same team offensively, definitely that TJ Finley had. I mean, you're missing Ashton Hawkins, you're missing some other pieces on the line. Really, Hawkins is the biggest one, but otherwise, they're bringing back the same offense. So it'll be interesting to see McCloud behind center compared to what Finley was. Because we can say upgrade on paper, it's an upgrade. I'm over here saying it, but we don't really know until it's on the field, and then that's when we find out. The lights are on, and here it goes. How is he going to react to it? I will say, demeanor-wise, leadership-wise, the way they seem to talk to their team is very similar. Mm-hmm. They are both well versed in being leaders, and I think that goes to they had journeyman careers. I mean, now, yeah, Finley's on his fourth school, and McCloud's on his fourth school. They've kind of been that journeyman. That is interesting. GJ Kinney's penchant for that journeyman. Lindsey Scott was the same way. Lindsey Scott played at like 5 schools, and then TJ Finley, obviously, and then McCloud. I wonder if that goes back to himself being a transfer quarterback, going to Texas that first year, and then transferring to Tulsa. I wonder if, and even in the pros, I mean, he was cut 6 times in 4 years trying to be a pro. NFL time, he was cut by six times in the NFL. He also had CFL chances and all of that. So
you have to think about his coaching career as well. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, he's a transfer coach essentially,
journeyman.
Yeah,
it seems like he's settling down on that a little bit, coming back for a second year for Texas State. We'll see how long that goes, but I wonder if that carries any extra weight with him. These guys who kind of go from multiple places and have been transient.
Yeah, I think that he has had to put it together quickly at multiple places, whether that is as an OC or a head coach. And I think that helps if everyone's on the same mindset of like, hey, we're here for a year at least. So let's focus on this year. Let's get us ready for now. And let's not worry about, what could be or what was, right? So I think that there's definitely part of that lived experience with GJ, but also just a focus on the present, right?
Yeah. He's very much that. He's got I feel like he's got blinders on. He's only looking at what's directly in front of him at all times. Got to get on that same page. Defense is going to be, obviously new DCs, but they're bringing back a ton of talent as well, starting with Ben Bell. And even when we've gone out there, especially that first day, that Saturday that you and I got to go out there and we got to actually check it out for the whole practice. This defense could almost be improved, and I mean. It wasn't the greatest in the world last year, but they were pretty great at getting after the quarterback and doing a lot of things. They need to get more turnovers, and there's obviously some stuff to clean up. Losing their DC is an issue, but I even think losing the DC, this might be an upgraded defense. When we were out there looking, I was like, gosh, they are just stacked everywhere across the board.
And Ben Bell's huge. He's always been big, but he has put on some muscle this year, and that's a large individual. So I think for the defense on paper, yeah, like the roster's better on defense. There's really no way you can argue last year's defensive roster was better. The thing I want to see is discipline. And if those avoidable penalties are knocked down a little bit. There's far too many penalties for mouthing off last year. There was far too many kind of taunting penalties on the defense. If this defense could be disciplined, it's going to be extremely competitive in the Sun Belt, I would say. But it's just, can they do that, right? Can they knock those penalties down to a more manageable level?
Yeah. I mean, that was probably my most polarizing piece of criticism, at least amongst like the players and coaches last season for the defense, was I kept saying their bend don't break style of defense. They didn't love that too much, but that is how it was. They would hold it off as long as they could, but the defense wasn't necessarily winning games last year. It was the offense that was doing that. That would be nice to see the defense win a game, because there were times, the UTSA game is the one that pops right in my mind. Was 20-13 was that score?
Mm-hmm.
Where that was, it was a slugfest, and that's where the offense wasn't doing it. They put up 13 points. That's where the defense needed to step up, get a turnover. I feel like that's a big thing for this defense, is they need to get more turnovers. They can get after the quarterback, maybe knock the ball out when you get to the quarterback. Somebody jump on that fumble.
Rice last year, the Rice game that's the blueprint. If we get that defense back, especially the second half of the Rice game, where you couldn't put a ball in the air without our guys going up and grabbing it, right? I mean, that's what you need with this defense. That bend is okay as long as there's an interception once the ball starts moving.
Yep. You got to ease the bow of the bend a little bit with some turnovers. That way you keep it from breaking. Brian Holloway, let's go, buddy. You just robbed the bowl game. It's funny. I was, talking with sponsors, trying to do all that good stuff. More on that later. That's a little teaser for you. And I was sending over some of the recaps, and I pulled up the bowl game one, and I was just like, oh man, it's so wonderful. It's great. It's so fun to go back and look at that. If you're ever itching, go on our YouTube page. When Now Get Bent on YouTube. Scroll back, you can find that. I think you must have done this, Webb, because this is you're the organizational one of the operation here, where they're all organized in cinematic recaps on the When Now Get Bent channel.
Yeah,
that was a nice touch.
Built a nice little playlist for you. So if you want to go back and watch last year's cinematic recaps, the ones that we were at, right? So we're not at every single away game, but the ones we were at, I think it's like 10 or 11, somewhere in there. You can go back and watch that, get caught up, because next week we're going to have the Lamar cinematic recap, and hopefully it's a lot of scoring.
How many are on the docket this year? Is it 7 home games? Then we're going to Houston. Yeah,
we're going to Houston. I'm going to go to ULM for sure. I already have plans for that. And then Troy is a potential. I'm trying to work out Troy as well. So what is that? That'd be like 9, 10-ish, with hopefully a playoff game or a bowl game.
ULM, I mean, that is a little bit of a drive. That's not bad at all. I mean, we've done November 9th. I can't guarantee it with kids in my life and everything right now, but I want to push for that one too. In November, I feel like things will be, we're looking at like 8 months for my son. That's a good age. We're coming up on 5. Once we get to 6, things are going to be a lot smoother sleep-wise and all of that. So, but I want to do that. ULM.
We can do a crossover, because Dustin Mallett from Deaton Street, my technology pod, is going to be my second shooter for that game, and we're going to stop in Lake Charles the day before, get some home cooked gumbo. I mean, if you want to come, you're going to miss out if you don't. It's going to be a great trip.
I may have to get that in the plans. Shout out to Dustin. Shout out to Deaton Street. Good pod that Webb works on. I mean, that week he's got to get on. He's got to come on this pod. For that one, at least for a little check-in. He's not a ULM fan, is he?
Oh, no. Lake Charles. We both went to McNeese.
That's right. Yep.
Anytime I get to go back to Louisiana, I like to go. So,
McNeese.
Except for the one city we don't want to name, stinky city.
Louisiana. I'll name it for you. Yeah. Is it like Voldemort, huh? The name who shall not be named.
ULL. Yeah. I don't know who Louisiana is. You and I both saw it driving back from New Orleans last year. The sign still says on the highway ULL. So that's
it does. You're absolutely right. Even the state of Louisiana doesn't call them Louisiana. Hey, if their mama named him Lafayette, I'm going to call him Lafayette.
Exactly.
One of those situations. Yeah, because that would be fun. November 9th, I'm gonna circle that. That would be a lot of fun to go to Monroe, especially after when we went to Sunbelt Media Day in 2023. Gosh, we got Boudin balls. Right, we pulled off. It was just right off the side of the road too. I was like, oh, you sure? I'm not sure about this, Zach. And man, there was some great food. I mean, you could literally just pull up to a gas station and get a gourmet meal in that state. It's pretty wild.
We stopped twice. I convinced you to stop the first time, and then on the drive home, you're like, "We have to stop." It's called the best stop, and you're like, "We have to stop." And we just got, I think, like 20 or 30 boudin balls. That's the only thing we ate on the drive home.
I brought them home to my wife. They were a couple hours old. I was like, "They're still good, I promise." But no, it's funny because when I went this year for media day, and I was driving through, I was anticipating going to there. They moved it like 11 miles off the highway. And
oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm making good time. I'm not trying to waste a half hour just to go get those. I can go get some on my way down there. But then there's even one it's either Baytown or Beaumont. They opened up a best shop. Yeah, I was like a Texas edition, best little stop. So
nice.
Have to check that one out again. But yeah, I mean, even besides the cinematic recaps, we're gonna be bringing that back this year. We're also gonna be tapping away on the Patreon page a lot more with Reese coming on board. We just got his credentials, so he's getting in the mix. He's gonna be in the press box. We're gonna be going hard because it's been a busy off season for all three of us, me, you, and Reese. Reese, he just graduated from Texas State. So he was real busy with that the last 2 semesters, a little bit of summer session for him as well. But I know all three of us, I was just talking to Reese, we're itching so hard for the season to start. Feels like all of us need it because we all have 3 different personal life things going on that we need to converge together and get some football in our veins.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited, especially now that I know what to expect. I feel like I'm more ready for it this year, so ready to get it started for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like we talked about that last season. We, at least me and you, maybe we did it more offline, off air, I should say, than I thought we did after only bringing you on in the summer. But there was just a ton of unknown for us. We were just like, what can we do? Obviously, like I know I could sit here and do the audio version of this pod, but how can we improve this? How can we continue to move up? And I feel much more confident this year where it's like, okay, yeah, we got this. Just give us our press badges and we'll get in there and get it done.
Yeah. I mean, so last year at this time, I was worried about the logistics of being on the sidelines, which for, and this year I'm very comfortable being on the sidelines, but I was worried about where do I stand? What can I bring? What time do I get there? So all of that stuff for me, it's second nature at this point. And I'm sure for you now doing the video pod, it's been over a year you've been doing video. I'm sure this is all second nature to you now as well.
Yeah. Cause that was, that was a brand new wrinkle for me. I've done audio pods before and it was just doing a video one. It was just even talking on video. It felt like such a foreign thing. I was like, how am I even going to do that? And now it's like, it's fine. Just click the camera on. If I mess up, I'll mess up. They'll get over it. They always do. You sickos always get over it, and you're always real patient with us, and we greatly appreciate it. I know coming up for this season, I mean, I am so thankful that you're here, Zach, that you are a part of this team. Cause it was, losing my Statesman gig, having to find another job, having my wife having a baby in the off season. It has been a crazy off season for me. And I'm so glad that I've had a great partner to keep me grounded and keep this whole thing going. You and Reese getting out there during spring ball while I'm in the hospital dealing with stuff. You guys have really kept it going, and I cannot wait to do a lot of awesome stuff this season and bring these sickos the content.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's always it's a pleasure. You brought me on last year on a whim, right? So you just met each other and were like, yeah, let's work together. Let's try to do something new with this. And it's been great. We started as kind of two random people working on this project, and then now like developed into like a really good friendship. So I mean,
Yeah.
appreciative that I'm working on When Now or Get Bent, but even more appreciative of your friendship, like I feel like we say every time I'm on. So
Yeah, see, man, I was like, I feel like now I'm getting deja vu. That was that was us last summer, but it is true, man. We became good buddies out of this whole deal, and on top of it, a viable business. You know,
yeah,
that's been the cool aspect of it is that when you were jumping on and we were talking, it'd be like, man, it'd be great by like 2028 if this is our one job. This is like our business, and you know, it felt so far away last year, but now this year we haven't announced the sponsors. We will later on this week, but it's just felt more realistic. It's not there yet, but it's more realistic, and it's that persistence that, like you say, it was on a whim that we started doing this, but it was persistence, even from you. I mean, you were listening to the pod. You had the initiative to reach out and say, hey, you know, not like your audio sucks, man, fix it. You were like, hey, I have a solution.
yeah,
I'm not just pointing out all your problems. I'm here with the solution.
yeah.
Like, you know, you could send it over. I could fix it real quick. And I was like, okay. And I sent it to you and you sent it right back, like really fast. And it sounded so much better. It's the audio clip of GJ Kinney at the beginning of every episode and how he molded it into the audio. We don't need to get all technical on how I was trying to do it, but it wasn't the way Zach was doing it. And it's much better. I knew right then, I was like, this is probably my guy. I was like, you live in San Marcos? You're like, yeah. We started talking, you know, you're McNeese and then Texas State and everything about it, I was just like, this is perfect. And there's been zero regret from that moment. And I feel like we've only just begun, my friend. We have a long journey ahead of us, but it's going to be a fun one, no doubt about it.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. Super excited. They're not baby steps. We've taken actually pretty monumental steps over the past year.
Right.
But just each kind of next step, you know, you're talking about sponsors. I'm very excited about the sponsors we're announcing this week. But just to see we're moving at a very sustainable rate of growth. It's not like we like rocketed into something we couldn't handle. Like it's just nice. It's nice to see the growth after all the effort that we're putting in. So
Absolutely. And that's a big testament to you jumping in, man, and helping us get to the point we're at, you know.
appreciate that. But I mean, come on.
Hey, to the moon,
I mean,
buddy.
it's also a lot of you.
Hey, to the moon.
It's like
no,
When Now or Get Bent could not exist without you, Kev. So
that's
don't ever
not
forget
true.
that.
See, that's not one day that's gonna not be true, and I can't wait. It's a company where there's a lot of people in it. Where we're hearing from Reese and we're hearing from whoever, man. That is the goal here. This isn't a Kev Chardello vanity project. I wanna have a media company, because that's the thing is all these, it's nestled right in between. San Antonio's right down the street, 40 minutes away. Austin's right up the street, 20 minutes away. And it's almost lost in the shadows of those two big cities. It's definitely lost in the shadow of UT being right up there in Austin, where and people just, they ignore it. I mean, even the Statesman last season, the Bobcats, they get bowl eligibility, sixth win, and then they have to pull their coverage due to budgetary reasons. They can't cover the Bobcats anymore, and it's such a missed opportunity. It baffles me. It blows my mind, and it's a major gap in the market that I intend to fill. I don't know why. People will kind of, sorry for cussing, but half-ass it. They'll kind of put one foot in San Marcos and one foot out of San Marcos, and this is a viable beat. There's tons of people that have graduated from here. I think there's something like 210,000 living alumni. Most of them live in Austin and San Antonio, the ones that are right here. And it's unfair to Texas State fans, to the sickos, and to people that work at Texas State and play for Texas State and coach Texas State, that it's very much overlooked by these media companies. So I mean, hey, if they're going to overlook it, then we're going to take advantage and we're going to shine a spotlight on it, because that's what we want to do. That's what you and I are passionate about the Bobcats, even if it wasn't a job or working towards trying to build a business. It would be something that we're passionate about anyway. So, it's an overlooked area. I feel like even when you're looking at they were just doing the shout out to the Barstool Tech State account for pushing that best college town in the nation. Because I mean, Texas, the San Marcos is right up there with anybody, and they showed that in that poll. But then you'd see detractors who would quote tweet some of that stuff, some of the hashtags and all that, and they'd say like, "I drive through San Marcos all the time, and I can't ever remember a time where I stopped when I'm going from Austin to San Antonio on 35." And it's like, you just keep going, then don't stop. Then that's fine, because there's enough people here that are paying attention, that do care about it. And this isn't a drive-by state. This isn't a stepping stone university. I feel like this is the landing spot, and we've planted our flag, and it's got a big old mad cat on it, and it's flowing in the wind right now. But
I'll be interested to see. So all media is good. Love having more media covering the Bobcats, but with Texas State being in the playoff talk already and all the hype that's around GJ Kinney and Jordan McCloud and everyone this year, it'll be interesting to see the difference in the beginning of last year on the sidelines with media coverage and this year. Because there were times last year where it was just a few people, right? And we have our little community on the sidelines shooting video. I'll be interested to see how much a little bit of a success kind of brings in a bunch of people that usually would say, "Oh, I want to just drive through San Marcos," right? So I think that we're in position in that we are genuine in our coverage of Texas State. We're not doing it because of the success. In fact, you were doing it in spite of not a lot of success. So
yeah, that's kind of a funny way to think about it. It was in spite. The name of the podcast, Win Now or Get Bent. That was pretty contentious in February 2021 when it started. Things were not pretty great. Yeah, but even that's the thing. But even when it wasn't great in those 8 years, the dark times, I like to consider it 2015 to 2022, people still cared. There was still a lot. I'd talk about things, I'd put things out there, and it would get consumed. And so we're definitely not bandwagoners. We're here no matter what. But there's plenty of room on the bandwagon for anybody who wants to jump on, though, because the more a rising tide raises all ships, as they say. So I mean, keep it coming. It's going to be what I hope by next year is those Tuesday press conferences that we go to, and I show up, and it'll be me. It'll be Colton McWilliams of the San Marcos Daily Record. Shout out to Colton, working hard. That's a guy who's passionate about the Bobcats as well. It'll be maybe a student reporter, maybe not, and that's usually it. And sometimes Fox News will come down from Austin, or Spectrum will come down from Austin. You don't get a ton of the San Antonio ones because the stations, but I know KSAT for sure, because RJ Marquez over there, he's a Texas State grad, always tweeting about the Bobcats. I know he'd be up here any moment he could to cover the Bobcats, but their TV station doesn't reach San Marcos, so they don't send a lot of that. But I think it's something that in the next couple years, both of those markets are going to start covering Texas State, and you're going to see those press conferences full. That back row is going to be full with TV cameras, and hopefully there's other people there to ask questions with me and Colton, student reporter, and who knows, a whole gaggle of reporters. Get Andy Staples out there, Brett McMurphy, and Bud Elliott. Get them all. Come on, bring them all out. That's what I want to rub elbows with those guys and see them promoting Texas State, because that'll just make what we do bigger.
Right.
It'll just make it matter more. Rising tide raises all ships, as I said earlier. But
absolutely, yeah, that's the dream.
Well, that was all nice and touchy feely. Let's end it with some real stuff, though. Let's end it with a win-loss prediction. I did an episode, I think it was the last episode, the mailbag, where I said 10-2. I'm sticking with that. I don't know if the 2 losses I'm still confident in, but I'm going to stick with the same 2 losses that I had before, and it's I'm going to call it the Alabama shuffle, because I think they're going to lose those 2 Alabama games. Let's see, what is it? It's on Thursday against Troy, and then end the season on Friday against South Alabama. See, because part of it is I don't like that neither one is a Saturday game. I don't like that either one is travel. I know specifically this Troy one is a really quick turnaround. They play September 28th, that Saturday, and then they play again that Thursday. And that's with travel. And those are back-to-back road games as well. A road game, neutral game, I guess, for Sam Houston, whatever you want to call it. But really, in my heart of heart, I want so bad to be like undefeated, 13-0 with the Sun Belt dub in the college football playoff, going against Notre Dame, or I don't know who that 5 seed would. I would imagine Texas State would be the 12 seed.
Right.
But for now, I'm gonna try and be logical, which is crazy that my logical is 10 wins. That's never been even close to that, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. 10-2, losing those 2 Alabama games.
I am slightly more pessimistic. I'm at 9-3, and I have them winning against South Alabama. I also have them losing at Troy for all the reasons you mentioned. I am worried about one of either Arizona State or UTSA. I think that all off season we've penciled those in as wins. Those 2 teams are not as bad, I think, as a lot of the media coverage around them has been. UTSA, they lost Frank Harris. They still had a really good defense last year. They're bringing in some transfers there to kind of replenish that, and we weren't able to score against them. So Frank Harris, we're going to have to find a way to put up points against UTSA. That scares me. Arizona State feels like a trap game. Feels like everyone's been saying they're so terrible. Still a Big 12 school. Still, I mean, they're on their 2nd year of their head coach. Their head coach is 34 years old, by the way. 34 years old. That made me sick when I saw that. I'm 32.
Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah. So I have Arizona State, UTSA. One of those 2 is losses. Troy lost, and then a wild card loss. A team we shouldn't lose against that just kind of happens, right? I think maybe Sam Houston, but we'll see.
No, boo! Cut his mic. No,
I don't know.
You're not allowed. You can't say that one. You can't say Sam Houston. Let's look at another wild card for you. Give it to Old Dominion.
ODU potentially, yeah.
No.
I feel like I worry about games that are strange circumstances, right? So that Arizona State game, that's a Thursday game. The Troy game is another midweek game, and then that Sam game is at NRG, which we'll see.
No, they'll beat Sam Houston. Sam Houston, they had their first FBS season last year, and it went so poorly. I think that's going to be a dub right there.
They started winning at the end of the year last year, though.
Yeah, that's true, but it was real late in the year. They started like 0-8.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's how they started.
Pretty late, yeah.
We're talking like what they started winning, when they had 4 games left.
I mean, Nevada almost beat SMU. You have to watch out. Anything can happen. It's college football. That's why we watch every week.
I thought SMU was toast when I was watching that game. I was like, they're about to lose the Wolfpack. I can't believe this. And shout out to RJ Maryland, that tight end they have for SMU. He's just dominated the Wolfpack.
I remember what happened to Nevada here last year, and I was like, they'll blow it.
Yeah,
It kind of feels like that team can't finish.
That's a tough break for them, and it's interesting. Obviously, the UTSA one, we want that to go differently, and so I feel like it's finally going to come to a head where it's five times it's gone in UTSA's favor. There's been a couple times where it shouldn't have, specifically 2020 when it went to OT, laces out. We don't need to talk about that whole kick and all that. But even last year was a winnable close matchup. I just feel like that's going to be the time where they finally that pendulum swings back for the Bobcats. But that Arizona State one will be interesting because let's say in that scenario they do beat UTSA, they do get that win, then it's another quick turnaround. That's my same criticism for the Troy matchup. It's the same 5-day turnaround where it's that Thursday they're going up against Arizona State. And yes, it's in San Marcos, and yes, Arizona State isn't the strongest P4 that's out there, but still a P4. They've still got a lot of really good players on that team, so that will be an interesting one. If there is a third loss for me on my 10-2 prediction, I could see that one being it. But I believe in these Cats. I feel like they're going to go undefeated in non-conference. But that starts with Lamar this week. Can't have a letdown game. That's for sure. Like we saw with FSU against Georgia Tech. We were just talking about SMU, almost a real bad letdown. You never know what's going to happen with these first games when nobody's played since last year, at least in game live game against another opponent that's wearing a different jersey. So will be interesting to see. They definitely cannot underestimate Lamar because Lamar still has some good players. I think they even have some Texas State players.
Yeah,
that
potentially
transferred there over the years. That tends to happen pretty often. So
I need to see 3 quarterbacks this Saturday. That's what I need. I need 3 quarterbacks because we're winning so much. I need a Jackson State situation, right? So
Okay.
McCloud is
That one
out
was
at
4.
halftime. Was it 4? Oh,
It was
yeah.
4.
Yeah. So I need
PJ.
I need McCloud. I need RJ for the third quarter, and then quarterback controversy, Brad Jackson in the fourth quarter.
You want Brad? You think Brad before PJ?
I think maybe I'm a PJ guy. I've always been a PJ guy.
It's a PJ pod.
It's a
We're
PJ
a PJ
pod.
Hatter pod over here.
But we did see a bit of fall camp and spring, and my goodness, Brad Jackson looks like he's been playing college football for a while.
He did look sharp. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's gotten a heap of praise from coaching staff, from everybody that has watched him since he got here in the spring for that. So that would be interesting. A true freshman taking over the redshirt freshman in the lineup. I still think PJ would be the third quarterback. He's been here longer. That run, it was called back. What was it, 60-yard run? That was a thing of beauty. But there is that sophomore slump. So that's something that is real, and it's not just something people say. It's legitimate. Where you're a freshman and you're brand new. It's like when you're brand new at a job and you are going gung ho. You're making sure you're doing everything right. Like, I'm the new guy. I got to prove myself. I got to do this. I got to show people that I belong here. And then after doing it for a year, especially if it's a year where you're redshirt and you don't play a whole lot, you almost get a little complacent. You relax a little bit. You get used to your surroundings, and you hesitate because in your sophomore year. And then there a lot of players are able to shake that off once they're upperclassmen, juniors, seniors. It gets a lot better. But that sophomore slump is real. And right now we've seen the effects of Brad Jackson being that true freshman, gung ho, looking sharp in spring ball and everything. So that will be an interesting one to watch, even though it's the third quarterback on the roster, and it's got to be something terrible goes wrong for the Bobcats if we really see them a lot. But that'll be interesting to watch that third quarterback spot.
Yeah, and I think it's not like we've seen anything bad about PJ or seen him perform poorly. I just think Brad has been so impressive in everything that we've seen. So, but hopefully, maybe we won't even see 3 quarterbacks, but it would be an interesting kind of turn there.
Leave it to us to create a quarterback controversy anywhere we could find it, even if it's way down on the depth chart. We don't care. We're here to talk about it. But all right, Zachary Webb, the wizard, the great producer of Win Now or Get Bent. Thank you so much for jumping on here. I know you got to get to work editing this episode, so you have a lot of fun with that.
I will. Thanks so much for having me on, and eat them up.
Eat them up. I like that. And it said Win Now or Get Bent. Hit them with it, Zach.
Win now or get bent.
Man, that was great. Great stuff.